I hate this thing. Does it have to call my phone every time?
Oh. Tell it to remember you.
Yes. You know, hopefully I'm not all night long because of that.
Puppy. Yeah. I know too. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I hate, then what's worse is the Mikas keep on changing or. So, we need to, well, we'll just say.
Dylan, Mr. Stench, how are you? Running.
I didn't even ask if you needed a ride over here. I had snuck till I was already running out.
You didn't have to run over, did you?
Jason was on the mic when I left.
So you ready to run your first meeting? Not tonight.
I was gonna say, don't.
Tonight's an easy one.
Oh, really? It's her turn.
I know, I saw that.
Gallegos.
Counselor?
Mr. Jaramillo.
Hey, Jason.
Sometimes they want me to do the announcements. Sometimes they don't. Tonight they did. That's
First
right.
time I have 2 minutes.
Let's just wait for Chris to get on. Started. Actually, we don't have to wait for him to get on.
Went to Clayton on Saturday.
How did you guys get home?
After the girls game, so we got here.
Well, that's not too bad. That's not too bad at all. What's happening in Creighton? We haven't been up there in a long time. In that prairie. They're not working. Okay. Good evening, everyone. It's 6 o'clock. I'll call this meeting to order. Time to wake up. Madam Clerk, will you please call roll?
Here.
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 Next item is Pledge of Allegiance. Chief, will you please the pledge?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item is approval of the agenda. I would like to ask that we remove item 7A. Mr. Gonzales was unavailable to make tonight. It also asks that we add a second executive session, which we'll put under 9B, limited personnel matters, Questa police officer.
Motion to approve the agenda with changes.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Gonzales, second by Councilwoman Gonzales. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Next item is approval of the minutes, special council meeting January 3rd, 2024.
Here I quite a bit of typographical errors, and I did submit those to the clerk already. There was capitalizations or periods and stuff like that, so nothing in the wording is wrong, but I submitted those to the clerk already, so.
Thank you.
I make a motion to.
Thank you, Councilor Gallegos. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Gallegos, second by Councilman Gonzales. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Next item is approval of the minutes special regular council meeting January 9th, 2024.
This one, there was 4 typographical errors. Instead of 2 words, multi court, it's 1 word, so just a couple of things like that. And those I can motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Gallegos, second by Councilman Gonzales. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Ayes have it. Next is item on the agenda is public comments. Do we have anyone here for public comment? Anyone calling in this week for public comment? 607. We have somebody coming in for public comment now. She's always at her meetings. She has it. Well, we'll close public comment at 6:08. I was gonna ask her if she had a comment, but doesn't look like she's coming in here anytime soon. Next item is department head updates. First off, we have Mr. John Rael, a Public Works Director. You're up.
What's the updates? Other than, everything's running fine. Wells are running fine after we did some repairs. We've been talking about, 30K tanks, see what we're gonna do about that. Sewers been running good. Equipment's coming in, back trucks, other equipment that we're trying to get. Any questions?
You all have any questions for Mr. Rael?
Mayor, I got a question.
Councilor.
Mr. Ryan, your ingress and egress out of the school, high school to access the wells is going well?
Yes, it is. We're going through the high school and through the well floor. And thank you for that. That was kind of rough to go all the way around.
Any other questions?
Questions, Mayor, I'd just like to make a comment. Mr. Rayo, thank you very much for your hard work and your direction. Employees in your department and for keeping our constituents happy as far as their frozen waters or not frozen waters. Staying on top of the list of items you have to do. Thank you guys in your department. Let them know that we appreciate their hard work.
I will, and thank you. I
Yeah.
also like to thank you all for backing us up in everything that we have tried to do and help us out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say that on snow days, John's out early in the morning and we communicate like around 6 o'clock in the morning, decide if we need to have a 2-hour delay or not. And by then he's already been through several of the roads. So, we get to sleep in and come into work at 8 o'clock, but these guys, they get up really early. He's up 3, 4 o'clock in the morning checking the roads. If he needs the guys to come out, he calls them. And usually we don't have to have a 2-hour delay because they've already gone through the roads, they've salted them, things like that. And I just really appreciate all their work because they're on call all the time. So I just wanted to know that
Thank you.
he and I communicate. So that's good.
Thank you.
Good, huh? Cheers, Mike.
Next, we have Chief of Police Ron Montes.
Mayor, councilors, thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. Couldn't make last meeting, so I'll try not to take up too much of your all's time. But well, before we get into goals and that sort of thing, we'll talk about what we did last year. So far we've been into this almost 9 months. From 2023, as of right now, the Village of Questa Police Department has responded to about 1,336 calls for service. Of those calls for service, 561 traffic stops have been completed, with approximately 383 citations have been issued. There have been over 20 arrests that have been made for narcotics infractions, domestic violence, other violent felonies, and misdemeanor offenses. 6 arrests have been made for just DWI. 10 arrests have been made for outstanding warrants from other jurisdictions. There's been at least 5 cases handled by Questa PD we've obtained arrest warrants for people that have committed infractions within the village that have been arrested in other jurisdictions. So we've been really busy over the last 9 months, and we continue to be, really busy. It's dropped down from when we were handling 180 to 200 calls for service a month. We're now handling about 96. is what the average is about now. So things are starting to taper off, and and those numbers also include traffic stops. Whether it's calls for people that are having issues with, on their commute, whether it's helping somebody with a flat tire, whatever that is, although that number includes all of those types of calls, not just, infractions, law infractions. Our burglaries have dipped down to more than probably 60% from where we were at when we first started, maybe a little bit more, but that's just an estimate of where we're at. So property crimes have gone down, violent crimes have gone down. So we're seeing a good trend in a positive thing as we're out patrolling. As far as goals go, I've got pages and pages of goals of what I would like to see happen with this department. One of my main goals is try to get through these next couple of months. We have the academy starting here in 2 weeks, so we will be short officers because of the academy. So we will try to get through this time. I know that the sheriff's office is shorthanded. I know that New Mexico State Police is shorthanded. So we're going to have to explore other avenues to get some help if we need it. And we got to get creative. We are not going to see a difference in coverage as far as shift goes over this next couple of months. We're still going to have the same hours of operation that we do now. And barring somebody, calling in sick or something like that, we should be able to maintain the hours of operation that we are maintaining right now. Once we get back to full staff, I'm going to be changing up our hours of operation, and you'll see what that looks like when we get that. So we'll go from there. Just a couple of goals, just real simple. It's just going to be to continue doing what we're doing. We want to be as proactive as we possibly can be, given our current numbers, and continue, strengthen our community ties, recognize our area resources, build and maintain trust with our community members. And one thing I really want to harp on is, ensure our organizational accountability, making sure that we as a department are doing what we need to be doing, and ensuring that we are following the law as far as, the way we operate. So, identify crime trends, and identify trends within our own department, whether it's vehicular pursuits, use of force issues, and that sort of thing, which, knock on wood, that's not something that we've really had to deal a lot with. I mean, we've had a couple of vehicular pursuits that we've had to terminate simply because it just becomes too dangerous, right? We gotta take the community as a whole into consideration when we do these types of operations. And at times, yes, we want to hold people accountable, but at the same time, the community safety is paramount during these types of operations, right? Again, identify risk patterns both in the community, within our organization, and positive complaint and conflict resolution in the public and the workplace, right? We've talked about this as positive conflict resolution. It's a big thing, not just within our organization, right, but outside. It's without jeopardizing our investigations or whatever we have in place, is try to be as transparent as we possibly can be with our community and with you all. So with that being said, I invite each and every one of you, if you guys have questions, come step into my office, and if you have questions for what we're doing, why we're doing what we're doing, and I invite you all to and I'll share as much as I can with each and every one of you, to come and again answer any questions that you may have of what we're doing and how we're doing it. One thing that we've really picked up on is utilizing modern technology. We picked up laptops. We're trying to get that stuff, some programs that are implemented, try to keep up with technology, right? With the limited budget, we do what we can, but I think we're doing pretty well. With our, we're able to utilize the technology we have, and it's being very effective in helping us do what we got to do on a daily basis. Another thing that we've done is enhance our sharing of information with other agencies, within our community. I think right now I'm a voting member on just about every board, law enforcement board, from CJCC to LEPC to DWI Council to, Taos MDT, Community Against Violence. I sit and I'm a voting member on each one of those boards. So, we're utilizing our resources the best way we can. Sometimes that takes me out of the office, especially if you come to my office on every other second Thursday of every month. You're not going to find me, because those are the days that I tend to be in Taos with meetings, and other times that I'm doing the same thing. So I try to be as involved in our community and other communities around us to, for networking and information sharing. One thing that we've also done a good job is maintain our organization, right, through training. We were able to get everybody completed in their required training. So everybody that's certified right now, to include myself, is all up to date on all of our state required training as of now. As of January 1st, we start a new 2-year training cycle. So now we're going to have to get back into, finding trainings and those sorts of things. We've been able to send one of our officers to a instructor school. So he was gone to Santa Fe for a week. We were able to put him through, and we're going to send him through advanced training. So that way we don't have to outsource trainings. I'm an advanced trainer as well, and we'll send another officer to do advanced trainings, so we can do most of our trainings in-house. For those that we do not have, we'll utilize Taos County, Taos PD, Red River Marshal's office, other agencies throughout the Enchanted Circle area, and we can all work together at, accomplishing those goals. So I think that that's been working for us, and, hopefully continues to work for us. As far as goals go, I really, like I said, when I took this job, when I leave, I want to leave this department in a better place than what I found it. So, that requires each and every one of you, right? Is just your continued support through, whether it be, funding. We get creative when it comes to funding. We've, with the help of Ms. Hill, we've, have been able to obtain a ton of grants. So that's been able to, help us fund through LEPC, through the recruitment retention grants that were available. So, we're able to stay afloat and, keep up with trends and keep up with training, keep up with, technology because of, these types of grants. So basically that's it in a nutshell. I'm welcome to share my whole organizational thoughts with you all, but like I said, I just want to keep it simple.
Councilors has been like kind of looking around some of the other municipalities and departments in the county, and I think we're one of the only departments that's probably not short-staffed right now. So we want to keep that, and that's a tribute to your leadership, Chief. So, but we just we got to realize that some of these other departments may need help as well. Some of our neighbors might need help. They're hurting as well, including the state police, like Chief mentioned, that they're all down officers right now. So we might not be seeing as many of them around as we once did, but we're here to help. Do you have any questions for the chief?
Questions, but again, thank you for your leadership department and officers and, 9 months, wow, those statistics from 180 down to 96. That wasn't the burglary.
Those calls for
that was the
service.
calls.
Calls for
Yeah, that
service,
was the
yes, ma'am.
calls. So, but even, with the burglaries, they're down. So, thank you. I had no idea all these statistics are going on, DWIs and arrests and citations. I know I see you guys out and about, but as far as paperwork goes, you really don't know what the magnitude of department has done in 9 months. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And let your officers know. And I did commend Sarah last meeting
Right.
because she has a tough job herself, taking care of all you guys and the.
Yeah, she does a great job.
Appreciate you all. Thank you.
She does a great job. And like I said, she keeps us in line with, administratively, there's a lot of paperwork that's involved in this with processing reports. Like I said, with 1,336 calls for service, you got to figure at least a third of those resulting in, police reports, arrest reports, those sorts of things. So, she's the one that keeps us organized and processing those kinds of things. And along with, obtaining materials that we need from, pens, paper, that's, these are things that we, she does an amazing job. I can't say enough about, the job that she does.
You have another committee for chief to sit on.
I'm going to tell you, we can talk about it. I've opened myself up to everyone, simply because, these are things that we need to, that we need to, put our department back on the map, right? And these are resources that are, valuable to our community. So yes, absolutely. Let me know what we need to do. So I've already spoke to Dennis about Taos Lead. I haven't had a chance to sit down with Mayor and Miss Shannon about Lead, but it's definitely something that I would lean to, and something that we can definitely discuss. But yeah, absolutely.
Chief, can you send me those statistics? I wasn't able to write everything down, and having those numbers is good when I'm talking to people in the public, because there's a lot of folks out there that just kind of like.
What are they doing?
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I gotta have, if I have numbers, I'm like.
Yeah, and so yeah, and anytime that you want these things, like yes, I'm going to give them to you in a a year-end review or whatever. But at any time that you want to get this stuff, I mean, you just give me a couple of days. With the computer program that we use through Dispatch, I can pretty much pick some of this stuff up, within a couple clicks of a button. So we can get those at any time that you want during that time.
Great.
Is it possible? Can you add some of those to your monthly report? Do a written report to us.
Absolutely, I can start adding those into your monthly report that you guys get with your packet. I can start doing that. That would be great. Yeah, absolutely not.
Will you share those numbers with the whole council and with perhaps Mr. Dylan over here as well?
Yeah, if we can make copies, I have pretty much everything written here. So if we want to do that, that would be. I can do that.
Great.
The other thing I wanted to mention, council, is legislative session is going on right now, and there's crime bills going on, and I mean, I've been looking at them, and if there's stuff that we can do to help our own officers out, like some of these pre-trial detention laws that when they arrest somebody and they're on the street the next day and doing the same thing that they were doing the day before, something needs to change about it. And a lot of the times that we don't even know that person got arrested. We just think they're doing the same thing they were doing the day before, but there was an arrest in between, and we just didn't see it.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And the courts aren't allowed to do anything about it. So now they're back on the street doing the things that they're doing, and we're kind of stuck with them. But if you all see any, and I've been looking at legislation too, just to see if there's anything we need to go down to Santa Fe or ask Robert to go lobby on behalf of on some of these laws. I know the other one that I kind of saw that there's some others that they're asking for. The governor's going to ask for $35 million for law enforcement retention, and I think we need to make sure that we're on top of that, as well as the fire and EMS retention. They're asking for $35 million on that, and that passed its first committee yesterday. So we need to make sure that we're on top of both of those and try and get both of our public service or our first response services taken care of, public service as well. But and that we're going to be looking for road money, and those are our top priorities: getting the well fixed and getting the water treatment plant upgraded. So hopefully we'll see some money there. Any other questions for the chief? Um, what's that? No, not right now, Dylan. You can ask after. Any other questions for the chief? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Lafore and Ms. Hill with a project update.
Mayor and council, it's a privilege to give you guys a update on the 2024 proposed projects for the village of Questa. I think it's a great opportunity to give you guys a little bit of insight as to what's going on with the projects. There's quite a few of them on our table, on our plate, and I'm going to give you just a brief outline of some of them. The first one is, I also want to say before I get into it that Valerie, my colleague, is instrumental in the projects coming to fruition. Not only her expertise as village clerk, but as CPO, our procurement officer. So we work hand in hand very closely together. So the successes that you're going to see this year in projects coming to fruition is a joint effort.
Awesome.
So the first project that we'd like to give you a recap on is Llama Bridge. That's the bridge at the very end of Lower Embargo Road. I'm happy to say that that project is fully funded. We have already gotten approval from the cooperative agreement or entity that we're using, which is CES, for approval for engineering. We're hoping to start plan and design on that bridge project very, very quickly. The contract has already been received and being reviewed by the engineer, and we are hoping to bring this project to council next meeting for approval. Okay. The next project that we would like to talk about is the Embargo Roads. We have Embargo Road, which we all refer to as Upper Embargo Road, but we're just calling it Embargo Road for now. And we also have Lower Embargo Road. Both of these road projects have been submitted to the cooperative agreement entity CES for plan and design. It's pending approval from CES. Once approval is received, a contract will be drafted. It will go to the engineer for review and signature. And the time frame for that to happen, we're hoping that happens by the end of February so that the engineers can get plan and design going on both those road projects. We have the funds to complete plan and design. We will have to seek additional funds for construction. But at that point, once plan and design is ready, it'll be shovel ready for construction, and might be easier to go after some construction funds after that. We are also hoping to bring these two road projects to you at the next council meeting for approval as well. Any questions before I go on? Okay. Cabresto Road Phase 2. This project's been going on for quite some time. We are happy to say, though, that plan and design for Phase 2 and 3 is complete. We are going to use a state price agreement rather than going through a cooperative entity like CES. And the reason for that is that we're hoping to expedite the procurement process to get a contractor on board. For phase 2 and phase 3, the main scope of work right now is to get the culverts and drainage issues addressed. Phase 2 basically starts right around where Cairo Road and Cabresto Road intersect and goes all the way down to Cisneros Road, which is the road that goes up the parish center. That's where phase 2 is. And then phase 3 is from Cisneros Road to the end of where Farmers Market is. So again, we're hoping to address culverts and drainage. That's the main scope of work. Signage is also going to be addressed at that point. There will be some funds left over, but not enough to finish paving for phase 2. Phase 3 is a fully funded project. That portion of the project is fully funded. It's kind of interesting how 3 got fully funded before 2, but that's just the way it rolled out. So once the culverts and drainage issue is addressed, we will have to convene as a staff and get input from the mayor as to whether or not we want to use that remaining money to go as far as pave will go, or what the contractor is recommending is to do the patch pave, where they're doing the cutouts for the culverts, do the patch work there, and so that there won't be big bumps in the road. So then we can pursue the extra funds to do the complete pave. So the timeline on this is we're hoping to get that contractor on board and see boots on the ground by early spring, weather permitting, of course. But we hope the earlier in the spring, the better. Valerie has already been in touch with a contractor, and they have put us down on their books so that we don't get overlooked. So we're hoping to have a contractor on board soon, officially, and get the boots on the ground. Like I said, Cabresto Phase 3 is kind of in the same predicament. However, it is a completely funded project. That portion of or that phase of the project is fully funded. Any questions on Cabresto Road? I know you probably have been hit with a lot of questions from constituents about Cabresto Road, and we're hoping to get those things addressed this year for sure. That will happen.
So phase 3 was from Cisneros to Highway 38.
Yes. Yes.
And phase 2 is from Highway to Cisneros.
Yeah, kind of like right in front of Paul Pacino's home.
Okay.
To Cisneros Road. You're welcome. The next road project that we have is Shirley Drive. This is not a paved project. This is just a re-leveling or regrading project of Shirley Drive. Basically adding some base course, leveling, drainage issues. That's the main scope of work, in my opinion, is a drainage issue. There will be a culvert installed between the intersection of Shirley Drive and Ortega Road, and that should alleviate or eliminate the flooding issues that happen to some of the residents downward. So that, along with some bar ditches along Ortega Drive, that should satisfy the drainage issues there on Shirley Drive. But that is not a paved project. It's just a leveling, regrading, base course, and drainage project. We're hoping to get that also done through CES so that a contract can get into place soon. And we're also hoping that, is that also going to be presented hopefully next
meeting,
we're
hoping to bring it.
So we have a few road projects hoping to bring to you for approval next meeting. For sure by the end of February, we hope. Taos Bakes, and I'm going to rely on my colleague here to give us a little history on Taos Bakes, the expansion project. Availability for a contractor has been the main issue on this particular project. Of course, last year We ran into the fall, and fall crept up very quickly, and then cold weather set in. We were hoping to have a slab poured by last year, but weather beat us. It was just too cold to do cement work. So we're hoping to get a contractor on board early spring of this year. We are exploring another cooperative agreement source. It's called Sourcewell, and we're hoping to secure a viable contractor and a proposal through Sourcewell very soon. If we can do that, and if the contractor's proposal comes within budget, then things can move along pretty quickly. I know that Val has been in touch with our attorney as far as doing contracting. So, and they know that time is of the essence on this particular project. Plan and design has already been completed on this addition or expansion. So we're kind of shovel ready to go. We have the funds from grant already. So we're just waiting to see about procuring a contractor, getting them on board, and then starting construction. I know everyone is anxiously waiting for this project to kick off, and so are we, and we're hoping to see some success with that this year.
Regarding that 3,000 square foot extension, that's gonna go to the west side of the building?
Yes. Where that empty lot is kind of right now, that's where it's basically going to go.
I do want to add, although this has been a long-awaited project, it's been quite a project. Not only is contractor availability in a rural area difficult, but I also had to build the specification workbook from scratch. And that in itself was a beast. And so it took me a little bit longer to get it done. I had to reach out to resources and help. And again, the cold weather here it doesn't help. I mean, it creeps up on you super fast. We have like 2 months of good weather, really, if you think about it. And it's just not viable to, to pour a slab or, a lot of people, it's just been difficult in its entirety. So I am happy to say, although it's been a long time, we're finally at that point where we can hopefully get this project started in the spring, so we can get this going and checked off my to-do list, because it's long awaited, but it's also been hard a little bit to to build all these things and to get these documents together. It's a big project, and it's a very important project, like all of our projects here, but it's also a business, that a lot of people do really enjoy here, and the last thing I wanted to do was mess it up because I didn't do my specifications correctly. And so I will take fault for the long awaited time, but at the same time, I do take pride in what I do, and I don't want to do it incorrectly and things get sent back or projects get done incorrectly. Because like I said, building a specifications was, I don't even know the word. It was just
It was
long.
a beast.
It was long. And, we just want to make sure the verbiage is correct. The work that is supposed to be done gets done correctly. Again, it's a business, and it brings jobs to the people here of Questa. And the last thing we want to do is mess that up, because the beginning of the project was not done correctly. And literally the beginning of this project was that specification. So I just wanted to add that on there.
Yeah, given the magnitude of this project and that boilerplate specification document that she had to draft, it was intense. I mean, I didn't want to be in her shoes at all. And I don't really feel like she got the support that she should have gotten from the engineer. I don't think that she got that.
I don't build metal buildings often, so it hasn't been on my resume lately. So I just, I want to make sure that things were done correctly, and so that was one of the main reasons. But again, I think
great. I think we're ready to go. I did reach out to a few contractors. Unfortunately, I didn't hear back from them. But we keep on going, and I think we're trying through Sourcewell, and I think I might have found somebody. And so we're excited to hopefully get this going by the spring, and I'm sure Taos Bakes is too.
Good job. Good job.
So since we're talking about the business park, we also have a grant that we need to put a ornamental fence in front of the business park. And so we are currently looking for a contractor or a fencing company through CES that would come down here and do the fence project for us. We don't want a chain link fence. We want something that's a little nicer, a little ornamental. There are 2 gates also proposed in that project. There's a 60-foot gate for the main entrance, and then a 25-foot gate at the northern tip of that would be used as a fire access. So there are gates involved in fencing. We do need to get a company down to do a look at it, give us a proposal, and then move forward from there. That particular grant, we have a little bit of time. We're not under a time crunch, so we can take a little bit of time and make sure that we get the right thing done. We also have a road design project coming up. It's basically the scope of work of that particular project is we are to hire or procure an engineer to assess the village roads. That includes signage, drainage, speed constraints, the condition of the roads themselves, all that sort of thing. We have received a proposal. We reached out to several engineers. We did receive a proposal. We're currently in the drafting stage for a contract agreement with that engineer, and we hope to bring that to you for approval in the next month or so. It would probably be something that the engineer would want to do in the spring because, given the condition of the roads right now with the mud and everything else, I don't know if they would do a fair assessment. One thing or one project that I'm really happy to see going to take place is a new comprehensive plan for the village of Questa. Our current comprehensive plan is quite outdated. We have to have an updated comprehensive plan in order to apply for a lot of grants. So I'm very happy to see that this is going to happen. We did get a proposal from a company out of Albuquerque. We're currently drafting a contract agreement so the vendor can review it, hopefully sign it, and then we can get that signed agreement to the New Mexico Finance Authority, which is the entity that funded the comprehensive plan, and that has to be in their hands by February 18th. So time is of the essence on this particular project as well. And so Valerie is pushing as hard as she can on her end to make sure that that contract is received, and then we can get it forwarded to the vendor. That particular project is going to involve a lot of community involvement. There's going to be a lot of committees formed. So I hope that some of you might get involved in that. When it does start to come to fruition, we should talk and see how we can get community involved more and more in that, because that's what's going to steer this project. Excuse me. The last project that I want to talk about or give you a recap on is the library improvement project. We do have one capital outlay grant that expires June of this year, and we're a little concerned that because of contractor availability that we might not get some of these things done in time to close out that contract or agreement. So we are asking for a reauthorization on that particular grant, and we submitted that reauthorization to Senator Gonzales today. He happily signed it. So it is going to be delivered to the Legislative Council Service tomorrow morning we will have met the deadline, so hopefully we'll get reauthorization on that. If by chance we don't get it, we'll have to really move quickly to spend that portion of that grant. And the scope of work that Miss Shannon and I have met with Sharon Nicholson, the librarian, and she really wants to see the old roof on the old library replaced in its entirety, new windows, which would then involve new stucco work, new carpeting in the old section of the library. She wants a couple of the old doors replaced and wants one of the outer doors actually removed. So I think given those particular projects or part of the projects right there, that's going to pretty much expend all the funds. So Valerie has that on her to-do list as far as wearing her procurement hat goes, and she's going to start looking for a contractor that can come and start that project, hopefully spring too. So spring seems to be the key word. So we're going to have a lot of things hopefully going on at the same time. And that should be very, very interesting and very rewarding, I think. We're going to see a lot of benefit to the community. The last thing that I wanted to bring up, well, a couple things. Coming up in March of this year, a couple months from now, me, Valerie, and Miss Shannon will have to get together and decide what MAP projects, that's New Mexico DOT MAP projects, we want to submit to the DOT. The village staff recommends focusing on funding for Cabresto Road Phase 2 to get that project done. Both embargo roads, I would like to see us talk about getting Old State Road 3 in front of the village here worked on. I think that road's been kind of overlooked. I think it's because we don't travel it very often, but it's in pretty bad shape. And also start focusing on Old Llama Road as well. That road is in pretty bad shape too, needs some, basically a repave reconstruction. So that would be the staff recommendations for MAP projects. And then the TPF, the Transportation Project Funds through NPR TPO, those are due in May of this year, and we'll probably focus on those 5 roads as well. See if we can get funding from any source that we can.
We did ask for Cabresto Phase 2 last year, but it was not awarded. We only got awarded Cabresto Phase 2. Hopefully they'll give us the other.
Yeah, we gotta finish that road.
It doesn't make sense to do one part, skip one, and then finish the other one. So we're really hoping to push for Cabresto Phase 2. I know I hear constituents' concerns from Cabresto Road, so we really want to make sure that we're listening to them and we're doing our due diligence to get as much funding as we can to get the road fixed.
And the last update that I'd like to give you is on the La Cienega demolition project. I don't know if you know or not, but unfortunately, DFA did not approve our CDBG application that we submitted last year. Whoever was in charge of looking over the application deemed it ineligible. However, Carmen Morin, the Chief Bureau Officer of the DFA, got in touch with the Chief Bureau Officer from the New Mexico Aging Long-Term Services Department, Ms. Elizabeth Chavez, and they had a conversation about that. And Ms. Chavez was extremely enthusiastic about the project, and she basically told Ms. Morin that that project now belonged to her. And so she graciously took that project and put it on her legislative ask list for this session. So she is completely on board with the demolition project for that particular location, which is the La Cienega location. She is enthusiastic about seeing what we do with that gym. Our primary focus, because New Mexico Aging and Long-Term Services is now going to be hopefully funding that project, we have to really focus on making that gym cater to the senior clientele. So we have to brainstorm, come up with ideas and how we might do that. Initially, we had talked about a senior evacuation center, but there's all sorts of things we can do. She really loved the idea that in our rendition or our plan that we came up with, that there was a little outdoor amphitheater. There was a little outdoor pavilion for seniors to gather, walking trails around the whole La Cienega property, which we will also incorporate exercise stations that are geared specifically to seniors, all that sort of thing. So we have a lot of opportunity there. Once we get this demolition in place and once it gets done, and also the infrastructure redone for La Cienega, the possibilities are endless. We can do all sorts of things, but we have to make sure that it caters to the senior clientele. One thing is, even though we have this huge gym and we don't have a huge senior clientele, it can still be dedicated to them, but whoever is in charge of the senior center can sponsor events for the village and thus give the venue, or not lease the venue, what's the word I'm trying to look for? Rent the venue to the village or other entities for other events to happen there. So she's mentioned like some other senior centers rent for quinceañeras or graduation parties or stuff like that. So it's not impossible to have some events like, if we wanted to do a Halloween carnival there, we could do stuff like that. Or if we wanted to do something else, we could do that sort of thing. So it should be really, really interesting. And I also think that once we get the demolition done and we have all this vacant land, at some point we could go after some funds or something and move the pantry down there so that seniors aren't going up, traversing that crazy hill and stuff like that. So that's something we can look at in the future, but just some food for thought. So we stand for any questions. I know that was a lot of information to digest.
Very good information, I might add. Your hard work and the pride that you take in the work that you do. Because you are an example of us. You are the ones making us look. And we thank you. I thank you for that.
You guys. We submitted both projects. Valerie did a presentation to the NPR TPO, and that just happens to be the one they voted on.
They have limited amount of funding, so they choose their projects wisely, I'm sure.
And we did get complete funding for the Llama Bridge, so it's not like we got shortchanged. We were fortunate to get that.
We're able to complete 3 small projects as opposed to getting one large unfinished project, is how we look at it.
But no reasoning.
Great job.
Thank you.
Any other questions for? The next item is discussion, consideration, decision, resolution 2024-01, acceptance of LGPF application.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The resolution before you is for approval and consideration so that we could submit an application to the LGPF, the Local Government Planning Fund, so that we can hopefully get a grant so that we can do an environmental information document for the well project. The application is complete, ready for your approval, and then can be submitted tomorrow. Stand for any questions.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Councilor Jaramillo and a second by Councilwoman Gonzalez. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Thank you.
Next item is discussion, consideration, decision, resolution 2024-2, State Bar fiscal year 2024, quarter two.
Thank you, Mayor. Council members, I included a lot of paperwork in your packets. The budget adjustments for our second quarter were quite extensive. I don't think I've done a budget adjustment for that long for a while. But we had exceeded some areas of revenue, even in some of the GRTs, so we had to increase those. One of them was the GRT that came from the county for fire and EMS. They're getting just over $25,000 a month to be split evenly between fire and EMS. So that is one of the adjustments. Like I said before, we did have to put a new department in the general fund for the fire department because the fire protection fund does not want those funds commingled in that fund, fire protection fund. I moved around some money in different departments to accommodate for some of their purchases. Those are in the other bar, but also adding on some of this bar. The judge has had several travel and he needed more money in his travel. The administration department needed more money in their travel, different things like that we're putting together. I don't know what other big ones there were in here. The fire department did get a grant. It was $238,800 that's in there. They're getting new SBA equipment, and $25,000 of that grant is for stipends for the fire department. So that was a big one. I did put a budget adjustment in for $25,000 for the match that came from QEDF for the bridge. So that's in there. And then I put in the expense in the wastewater department for the repairs to the SCADA system. We received over $50,000 from the insurance company for that lightning strike, and they're finally getting the equipment. So I went ahead and put that expense in there as well. I stand for any questions on this resolution.
What's the 217,000?
What fund is it, Councilor?
No, so what is it? What's the 212,000?
Which fund is it, Councilor?
Other special revenue. Putting in $212,000. And then.
Also,
Right below it for
the expenditures. Yes. Councilors, that is for the monies that, for the attorneys for the Chevron grant, that they do. The attorneys do the work for us with Chevron, and Chevron pays us the money to pay the attorneys. That's all part of the reclamation thing that we're going through with them. So that's the revenue and the expenses that we paid through the quarter ending December 31st. So it's an in and an out.
Hey, Shannon, looking at these balances on some of these funds and number of asks that were presented to us on the last council meeting, looking at the EMS and fire protection, and they got quite a good fund in there. I hate to say it bluntly, but some of those ask that she can probably purchase herself. I'm just gonna go on record by saying that because, I mean, I know, yeah, I saw a snow, but she has a lot of money there. And I know she's applying for grants from the Lord Foundation, so that's gonna help her out as well. I just wanna put that out there.
Councilor Gonzalez, that's a good comment to make. Chief Cordova is saving some of the fire money that the EMS goes out to fires. She's saving some of that money to save for an ambulance. In case we don't get enough funding for the full ambulance, then she can have the match or she can have the difference. She's also wanting to get all the equipment for the new ambulance. And so there may be, stair chairs and other equipment that she needs in there, respirators, big ticket item things that will need to be in that new ambulance.
Okay.
I think part of her goal might be she has 2 fully functioning ambulances right now. If we can get funded on another one, then she can have 1 or 2 ambulances going out to fires, and we still have an ambulance here to do the services here.
I think that's a good goal.
So
also, I just wanted to say that there's a lot of money there.
Thank you. Councilor, also, I think on the fire side, it's showing 257,000, but that was a grant that we just received for 235,000 for SCBA's and part of its recruitment and retention. So of that, it's really 22,000 that they have left to make it to the end of the year. If that helps. So that money is there, but it's gonna be.
Okay.
She just hasn't ordered or it hasn't been expended yet. On that one.
we just recently got that grant, so it popped up.
I don't know. The council has been shared what they shared that information with the council.
I don't think they had shared it yet.
That's new to you all councilors. They got the fire protection grant last year in that amount. So SCBA's that will. I had to tell you what an SCBA counts, but that will give them about 20 SCBA's with $200,000. So tells you it's about a $10,000. Okay, go ahead, Ms. Shannon.
I stand for any questions.
Any questions? Any other questions? I have a motion by Councilwoman Gallegos. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Gonzalez. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Next item is discussion, consideration, decision. Fiscal year 2024, Q2 local bar.
Mayor and council, this budget adjustment is just moving money within the different departments. When we built the budget last year, we built it with the insurance monies from the previous insurance company in mind. And when we went with the self-insured fund through the New Mexico Municipal League, our insurance came in a lot less than what we were paying. So we saved money. So now those funds are able to fund other expenses within those departments. So you'll see in this budget adjustment request and also in the future where we're moving monies out of those insurance line items to fund other things. Some of them are travel, some of them are supplies, some of them are equipment, things like that. Workman's comp was also less than what we had budgeted, so you'll see monies coming out of there too to fund other projects, other expenditures within the department. I stand for any questions.
Any questions for Ms. Shannon?
Motion approved.
Motion by Councilman Gonzalez. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Gonzalez. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Yes.
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 Thank you, councilors. Can I entertain a motion to go into executive session? Motion by Councilwoman Gallegos. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Gonzalez. You guys on the right side or councilors on the right side or making all the motions on my left side are quiet this evening. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Yes.
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 Are you saying you made all the motions last meeting?
Yeah.
Gotta make up for it. Go to Valerie's office.
To the two people watching, now's a good time for a bathroom break. Two people. Not a lot today.
Yep.
We're back.
I'm curious what happened up the road. What? They were having a pretty contentious meeting. Did Chief get called out or did he just leave? Looks like he left in a hurry. I was thinking he got called out. Okay. Okay, can I entertain a motion to come out of the executive session? Motion by Councilwoman Gallegos, second by Councilwoman Gonzalez. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Mr. DeFilippo, can you hear me? Can you just affirm that the only things that we discussed in the executive session were what we had on the agenda, which was real property and water rights, property regarding Questa Municipal School well, and limited personnel matters for the police department?
Yes, Mayor, I can confirm that those items were discussed during closed session.
Okay, next item is matters from village attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. The one item that's on the agenda for me is last week we had our quarterly meeting with Chevron, the state, and the EPA. During that meeting, we were able to have the village's geotechnical engineers, the two new folks, Rebecca and Sherm, join that meeting, and Chevron was able to give a presentation to hopefully bring them up to speed in relation to where we are for the current projects. In addition, I was provided about 1,800 pages of documents the day before the meeting from the state of New Mexico in relation to the project. So I've been thumbing through those since then, and there's a number of updates in relation to the 5-year update for the tailing facility, as well as the update documents for the rock pile projects. Overall, I haven't seen anything of concern within those documents. They seem to be following the ROD relatively closely and meeting the standards that they set out, as well as within the amendments to the RODs that have occurred since then. In addition, I was able to provide some of those documents over to the geotechnical engineer to help get them up to speed as well. I also reached out to Cynthia with Chevron to kind of get a list of what Chevron feels are the most important documents at this point. She was able to provide me all the documents she felt were most imperative for a geotechnical engineer to review, and I sent those their way as well. During the meeting, we kind of got an overview of the totality of the project, and I think the most important update in relation to future projects is that we once again discussed the fourth amendment to the ROD, which, or I guess it would be the fourth consent decree, not necessarily amendment to the ROD. And again, we've talked about this before, but it seems like we're moving in the right direction for getting that implemented, and at least the pilot projects where that started. And the most interesting aspect of that, at least in my mind, is that they will be doing additional work above Questa Road, looking for evidence of the plume that was discovered back in the day, and determining exactly what the status of that plume is, as well as how to eradicate that plume. As we've discussed previously, the documents currently indicate that that plume is in fact shrinking, which makes sense, seeing as no water is currently being placed onto the tailing facility since the mine has been closed. But we'd like to see, obviously, additional work being completed and additional remediation actions being completed, and Chevron, the state, and the EPA are all on board with that. Secondly, there is a discussion regarding the creation of a repository for the sludge associated with the water treatment plant. As you know, the water treatment plant is currently right next to it. There is what they call a cake repository, where they put all of the sediment that they take out of the water that gets put into the Red River, the clean water, and they store it. So a part of this fourth amendment will be to find a permanent repository. Based on the documents they provided us, it seems like the leader, or the best choice, at least in their mind so far, is to place that cake within the current open pit mine. They explained that if there is any sort of rainfall that lands on the cake, and there's seepage into the ground, that would re-enter the same process to go back to the tailing facility and be cleaned before it ever actually entered into any sort of water supply for the village. So that's currently what they feel is the best option. I had a follow-up call with our geotechnical engineer immediately after our meeting. They had a couple of interesting points that they brought to my attention. Some of them I've already been aware of, such as the NMPD permits that are currently being utilized near Dam 4. And I remind you that those permits essentially state that the water flow underground has a higher permitting level than the water flow above ground. So as a result of that, what Chevron, the state, and EPA have all determined as being acceptable is taking that water from below ground and bringing it to the surface, and then essentially just dumping it, and it then meets all the permits. So that was something that was concerning to our geotechnical engineer, which has been concerning to me, but we've discussed it, and it is clear that all current NMDS permits, as well as EPA permits, are being met. That was our argument in relation to the CERCLA action of whether CERCLA would take that over or not. Secondly, the geotechnical engineer is interested in getting involved in all of the projects moving forward. And I expressed that during the meeting, that that's something extremely important, both to the council as well as the citizens of the village. And what I mean by that is that the village wants a voice in, or at least an ear in, hearing the projects before they become finalized. So I have currently scheduled another meeting with EPA's lawyers, the state's lawyers, and Chevron's lawyer to figure out exactly what meetings our geotechnical engineer is capable of attending. The EPA pushed back on us, and having the geotechnical engineer at these meetings under the guise of that it would be inefficient and that it would make the project last longer. Our geotechnical engineer does not agree with that. She stated, maybe lay people at this meeting would be perhaps a hindrance for these folks to continue moving forward, and if there would be inappropriate questions, those sort of things. But these folks have been involved in mines for 35 years. They know the totality of what's going on, and they know the correct questions to ask, and even more importantly, they'd be able to then come back to the village and express exactly what's going on, as well as what the future projects will hold, and a better light than I'm able to, since I'm just a lawyer. It's like I like to say, I really don't have any education in mining or the engineering that's associated with this. So overall, I think that was the totality of the meeting, but Madam Administrator was there as well as the mayor, so I would leave it open if they'd like to provide any input on anything that I missed.
Excuse me. The only thing, and Chris, thank you for being there. We'll say this, I am impressed by your work and the way you handled yourself during the meeting and making those requests. I really appreciate the work that you do for the village and your diligence on those matters regarding the EPA and Chevron. The only thing that I have to add is that they did discuss having the next quarterly meeting here in Questa on the 17th of April. And that will be the first quarterly meeting with all of us here in the chambers, followed by the public meeting at the VFW. Well, they didn't say the venue, but I'm just guessing that's where it will be. The public meeting will be that evening, since we have asked them to continue having public meetings so our residents can attend, even though they haven't been very well attended. We're hoping that they will get the announcement out to you all and by April 1st. That way they can, the public knows to attend, and they also get their mail outs to all the people. Last time they had a public meeting, the people got the announcement in the mail after the meeting. And it was also, we just kind of discussed that it was bad timing also. I don't think a lot of our citizens are going to show up to a meeting in the middle of winter. And I don't think they're going to show up in the middle of the summer, but maybe if they do one in the spring and in the fall, we'll get more public participation there. That's all I have from that meeting. I think Mr. DeFilippo covered it pretty well. Any other matters, Mr. DeFilippo?
No, Mayor, and thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it. I'll continue doing my best for the village in every matter that I can. And also thank you for that clarification on that meeting. And during that next quarterly meeting, our geotechnical engineers are going to be participating in person to come and see the mine site in its totality. So they'll be down here to see that as well as participate in the quarterly meeting, which I think is going to be important moving forward.
Any questions for Mr. DeFilippo, councilors? Next item is matters from our village administrator, Ms. Shannon.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Did you see the pictures of the tree?
Yes.
Good job.
We decided to show you a before picture and an after picture.
I couldn't believe how much it was hanging over. I never really noticed that.
Yeah. We have another tree just on the other side of this building that's on the fence line, and it's growing into the electrical lines, and we're going to try and remove that one next. So I sent everybody an email about the retreat. It will be Friday, March the 22nd for the village of Questa. We're going to start at 8 o'clock in the morning and go until 4 or 5 in the afternoon. It will be at our attorney's office in Albuquerque. Since it starts at 8 o'clock in the morning, Ms. Vigil will be making hotel reservations. So I'd like to get your commitment to a room on Thursday night, or if you're going to attend drive in the morning, please let us know so we will not have a room for you on Thursday night, but you will get a room on Friday night. On Saturday, March the 23rd, we will meet at the same place with the QEDF to have a joint meeting with them. Ms. Skull and I are working on the agenda for the joint meeting. The mayor and I are working on an agenda for the village meeting. Mr. LaForte has an update on the Text My Gov. Just a short one.
The mayor and council, Text My Gov, which is the texting service for the village of Questa to send out notifications to our constituents is ready to kick off. We have compiled an import list. We've supplied it to TextMyGov. We have drafted a press release that will be hopefully published in the Questa del Rio paper February issue. Fingers crossed. And Valerie has contacted Taos News to do a press release in Taos News. There is a cost associated for that, so we're getting a quote to see when that will come out. But basically, there are about 864 phone numbers that are part of our import list. There are specific instructions that are going to be outlined in the press release, and also a flyer that is already currently posted on our website. People will get an initial text from a number 91816, and it will ask them if they would like to opt in. And when they text back the keyword VOQ alerts, they'll get a opt-in response. All they respond to is yes, and they're in. And so we will be able to see probably in the next couple weeks how many people have opted in out of those 864 numbers. And then we can go from there, but we can start sending out alert messages, notifications, all that sort of thing immediately. It's ready to kick off, and we're ready to start rock and roll. Any questions? Right. Look for the text. Coming soon.
I want to commend Mr. Laforet and Elizabeth and Amy, because they had to call many of the residents and ask for cell phone numbers and explain what we were doing so that they could get the cell numbers to have on the upload. There are very few people that have landlines, but there are some, and they don't have a cell phone. So, yeah, it's interesting. On Thursday, I'll be attending the Taos County Economic Development Summit Part 2 at the Sagebrush. It's from 2:30 to 5 o'clock. And the SAM.gov registration for 2024 is complete. That's the registration we have to do for federal funding and for grants. I have actually a handout for you. I received an email from the NMED about training for council members for water boards. And I asked about it because I thought it was probably more for mutual domestics. But they said there is information for our mayor and council, and they are free trainings if you'd like to participate. They already started them, but you're welcome to sign up with them, and they will send you the links to take these trainings. Or if you know somebody who's involved with a mutual domestic, you can give them the information and they can participate in the training. Our audit has been approved, like I mentioned in my packet. I did reach out to our auditor, and she will present the audit at the February 27th meeting. I won't be here on the February 13th meeting. I will be on a vacation, but I will think of you. I'm sure. And I would like to bring back for your consideration the lodger's tax so that we can get it effective for the summer. I really think that a lodger's tax would help us with advertising for our businesses and with some events and some different things. So I'd really like you to consider that again. I'd like to put it on a future agenda for your approval. I stand for any questions.
No questions? Next, thank you, Ms. Shannon. Thank you for your hard work as well. I know you were here Saturday and Sunday all day long, so thank you for your hard work. Next item is matters from council and mayor. No matters. The only thing I have, just a quick update, is they reached out to us from National League of Cities, and they're going to start sending out the mailers to our constituents about the service line warranty program that we approved a few months back. So you might be getting questions about that. We'll just make sure that everyone has all the information they need to answer that. The other thing is we are in the midst of the legislative session. I know we've already talked about next Wednesday being Taos County Day, and a few of us are going to be down there. And then the 8th is the Municipal League Day. So, but there is a lot of legislation that's out there that might benefit the village besides just the capital outlay. There's a couple of bills that we have projects in. One of them would be House Bill 148, which is the water fund board, where we're looking for the $1.8 million for the water well. So that's something, if you all are down there, or if you hear that it's going before committee, I'm going to want to try and speak on this behalf, but if any of you want to do it, you're welcome to as well. The other one, I don't know if it's been published yet, but we have another one that's the Senator Gonzales is sponsoring on behalf of the acequias, and the village also has money for plan and design of the wastewater treatment facility in there. So we'll keep an eye out. When we get that number, I'll let you all know what it is. So if there's any committee hearings or that we want to testify on behalf of that bill, we can get down there and do that. Any other legislation that you see that you think of interest to the village that we can lend our support, let me know, or let Ms. Shannon know. That way we can get either down there ourselves or get Robert to lobby on behalf of. I know there's the law enforcement and the EMS and fire recruitment funds that we want to see. I think other than that, that's all I have. It's been a pretty quiet 2 weeks. So I'll adjourn at 7:45. Thank you for being here.